Hello everyone, welcome to episode 35 of Level Up, 60 minutes of live Q&A where your questions and votes drive the show. The Slido link in the chat allows you to vote up the questions that you want answered and of course to add your own questions. This is the second of two shows where we were talking about careers and in particular taking a look at the practical things that you can do to turn those New Year's resolutions into a meaningful plan of actions. Let's jump straight in and meet our panel for today. Sarbojit Bose returns to our panel today. Sarbojit is based in Singapore and is the Managing Director of Cyberservices. Welcome, Sarbojit.
Thank you, Ellie, and it's a joy to be here and is the final one for this year. And I have thank you to all the listeners and viewers out there. So you are the real people for whom we exist. So thank you so much and hope we all will enjoy the rest of the show.
Thank you. And Darren Conway is our cybersecurity executive with over 20 years experience and is based in the UK. Welcome, Darren.
Hi, thanks for having me. Hopefully coming from the position of a hiring manager and also a technical trainer, hopefully I'll be able to provide some good context here.
Thanks, Darren. Nick Houlton is a director here at APMG. Nick has a wealth of experience in managing international teams and helping people develop their careers. Welcome, Nick.
Hi, thank you, Ellie. It's great to be here and good to be sitting in a different seat this time. So pretty good.
Excellent. And Mart Rovers is a leadership coach and consultant at INTERPROM, specialising in business relationship management. Hello, Mart.
Hi, Ellie. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to yet another show and some fantastic questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Marc Waterman is a project manager who works in the field of strategic sourcing. Welcome, Marc.
Thanks, Ellie. Thanks for having me again. And as everyone said, I can't wait to get into the conversation and let's really help people drive their careers forwards.
Yeah. So if you're watching at home and you feel like you could answer some of the questions, volunteer in the chat and we'll be in touch to welcome you onto the panel. So completing our panel today is our question master, Charlotte Miller. Hi, everybody. Charlotte. Can we have our first question for the panel today, please?
You certainly can. It's a question from John, Leeds, UK. What framework methodology could I use to incorporate IT service management and maintain a good relationship with the people I am working with?
Great start. So we'll go to Sarbojit and then to Darren. Thank you.
Hi, John, very good question. Now, for IT service management, the gold standard is ITL, of course, and the version 4, which is out about 2 years now almost, has a very new approach to service management. And I would think that if you are implementing that, that will be the best thing to do. And to make a good relationship with people, I think the first thing is, as human beings and whatever we do, we have to maintain a good relationship with people, because service management is serving some people or a user group. So we need to have a good relationship with all the stakeholders who are involved in that service management, not only the users, but everyone included. And that will give you the best results of any methodology that you can use. Thank you.
Thank you. Darren?
So yeah, I would agree with that, the ITIL framework. And what's interesting, so for me in cybersecurity, we use other frameworks such as the NIST framework, and there's a lot of different mappings in between the two. And so as we're looking at the life cycle of an ITIL project, there's also similar mappings for the NIST framework that align, and there's lots of documentation on that.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Okay, so Charlotte, can we have our second question, please? Oh, before we move on, Mark has a comment on this question. And then Nick.
I do. Thank you, Ellie. And then, I'd like to up a notch, if that's okay, and go for 2 standards I recommend, either ISO IEC 20000 or FIT-SM. And the reason why is that, the question is specifically focusing on to maintain good relationships with people. And both standards actually have some very specific requirements around process integrations, meaning if, let's say, you have a change and you need to assess the change. It says, put the change in perspective and look at the change from different angles, such as from a capacity perspective or a security perspective. But what is built into these standards is that these process requirements build in relationships with other processes. And by following these interfaces, integrations between these processes, it makes you also have to communicate with others, cooperate, collaborate with others in the organization. By just simply following the guidance that these standards are providing to you. In other words, they help tearing down walls within organizations and encourage people to collaborate, in essence.
Excellent. Thank you, Mark. Nick.
Yeah, I completely agree with, what people have said. There are some other things now to kind of consider. So, in the early days, really ITIL was the way to go. Now, I would suggest that you look at other things. And the principal reason being is that much of that good practice is now embedded into a whole variety of different software as a service tools and platforms that you can access and use to allow you to manage incidents in a far more professional and effective way, and to introduce new software, code changes and procedures into organizations differently. And so the focus I would suggest to go and look at is, first of all, on the working relationship side. IT is no longer something which a few people in an organization understand. Actually, the vast majority of us who come to work are, proficient and capable in using technology in order to be able to do our job. So the relationship side of it is super important. Have a look at the Business Relationship Management Institute site. They're really good. They really focus on that technology human interface, how you go about things, the way in which you work as a technology advocate and a change agent and an enabler, really, of other people. So do have a look at that. So some really good stuff around business relationship management on their website, and also in the courses that are taught around it. And I'd like to echo, really, what's just been said by Mart on FIT-SM. FIT-SM will give you the essence of what's needed for service management. It was developed within the European Union. It was developed using EC Council funding, actually, and it was to provide the principles for organisations, small, medium and large, as to what good service management looks like. So two alternatives there, but closely related things to go and have a look at. Thanks, Ellie.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, panel. So Charlotte, can we please have the next question?
You can. Question from Amy Wilcox. Oftentimes the process of updating a CV to meet new job requirements can be tasking. What are the likely things to look out for?
Okay, great. So we'll come to Mark for this one and then on to Nick.
Thanks. I think it's a great question. And for me, the first point of call, because Amy's right here, it can take a long time to update your CV, is to actually do some self-down selecting first. What are the jobs that you really, really want to be going for, rather than blanketing a CV approach? Once you have those that you want to go for, make sure that your CV is concise, it's relevant, you have your achievements in there, but also that it starts to give a sense of the person that you are, because that's who they're hiring at the end of the day, for what you've done and who you are.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Thank you, Nick.
I would say develop your core CV and then tailor it appropriately for different applications. So if you know that the role that you're applying for has a particular focus on certain skills, elevate your experience of those skills and put them, up front and center on that version of your CV. So just pick out of your experience the things that you think are the closest and the best match and so on. The second thing that I would say is that the vast majority of recruitment these days is done electronically. So it's super important for you to have an electronic CV, one that can be machine read. So if you have certifications, then make sure that they link to an account on one of the market leading platforms. Credly.com is a really good one, for you to house your digital certificates. That's linked to skills databases, and that will allow your CV to be sifted electronically by machines closer to the top of the pile than it would be otherwise.
Yeah, excellent advice there. I think getting past those initial stages with the right qualifications before they start looking into who you are is probably very important. So making sure you add those digital badges for sure. So Charlotte, please may we have the next question?
Ellie can, and it's a question from Daniel in Delhi, India. How do I portray experience if my experience is limited?
Okay, so panel, how do we portray experience? Great. So we'll go to Darren first and then on to Sarbojit.
So the field that I'm in is in OT security, and it is difficult to find qualified candidates. However, oftentimes I'm looking for people who I believe show the willingness to learn. They're very candid about what their experience is, where they're at. Oftentimes research papers and other things that are more as they're studying. As it relates to getting certifications, the more training that you do and the more that you go to different conferences and things like that, you'll end up building more competence that'll give you the confidence to speak intelligently and whatnot. But I think that first off, you just want to be really, really honest with the folks, let them know where you're at and where you want to go.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Darren. So Sarbojit, you were next, I think.
Hi, Daniel. Well, I'm not sure that if you are very fresh in your career or you're limited because you have been working on one area for a long time. So if you are a new entrant in the job market and you are a fresh grad, so having limited experience for that case is not an issue, because everyone starts from some point. And if you have been working for some time or a considerable amount of time and you are on a niche area, then that niche is a good experience that you have collected over the year. So it's not limited, that's the thing, but it's quantity not the issue, but the quality is what you should portray. Portray on your strength that you have worked in that and apply for similar kind of jobs so that you can really show people your skills, your competencies, and who you are, and build up your confidence. Not that your experience is limited, but don't just limit yourself within that limited experience. You have to look out and, extend yourself through networking and reach out to people. Thank you.
Thank you. So Nick, I think you had a comment on this one as well.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with what's been said there, and there are a couple of things that I would suggest. If you are yet to have experience in a particular area, say for instance project management or something like that, then volunteering is a great way for you to be able to have some form of a track record that you could share with other people. Volunteering will get you up the project leadership ladder far faster than waiting for it to land, in your lap, so to speak, when you're working real time. The other thing that I would say as well is that you need to be able to demonstrate some understanding of domain. All right, when you if you're lucky enough to be able to get a conversation, an interview, even if it's a remote interview and you do it over Teams or something, you need to be able to demonstrate an understanding of the organization that you are applying for. I've hired an awful lot of people throughout my career, and the one thing that I can say that underwhelms me the most is when people come for a job and they know nothing or close to nothing about the organisation they're applying for. So when you ask them the question, well, why do you want to come and work for us? People struggle with that. So I'd really do your homework, and demonstrate that somehow or another in your application process, wherever you can, that you've looked into things, that you want to work in that domain, in that industry, and particularly for that specific employer.
Great, thank you for that, panel. So Charlotte, please can we have the next question?
You certainly can, Ellie. And I think this might be a question from one of our panelists, Nick in Wokingham, UK. What advice would each of the panel give to persuade managers to send people on training courses?
Okay, great question, Nick. So we'll come to Marc first on that one, and then on to Sarbojit.
Thank you. So it is a great question. And for me, I think there's two parts to this question. There's the hard skills and there's soft skills. So hard skills within a business is going to come down to time and money. Is it worth it for the company to be giving you time and spending money on you getting this qualification? But I think there's also a softer element as well on what your manager perhaps or the organization's experience of training is. Is it that they've sent people on training courses before, spent thousands of pounds, and it hasn't brought the benefit to the organization? What's their learning experience that is driving their decision? If you can unearth that, then perhaps you can work with the chosen training provider to demonstrate how you can bring that back into the organization and bring value to the organization from the training.
Marvellous. Thank you, Marc. Sarbojit?
Hi. Wonderful question, Nick. Now, the first thing is, before you pursue someone, the best thing is to show that you are the right person that they should pursue. So if you can portray with your skills that you have currently, show your interest on a specific area, and that area is where your organization wants to grow and want to move into in the future. So that is the right place that you want to be. So you show your interest and you do things for that area. You do some read up, and today, Google University is one of the renowned universities. So you can have something from there free, and then your manager will come knocking your door saying, "Hey, Nick, would you mind joining this training? I think you are the right person to go for this. And please come back and implement it at your work."
I like that kind of reverse engineering approach. So, Nick, this is your question. Do you have something you'd like to comment on?
Thank you both, because they're really, really good ideas. So one thing that I would add, I guess, is to think about the problems that your manager is having. So think about, say, if they're in the middle management layer of an organization, then they have a really tough role, because they have to take the strategy of the business and turn it into a meaningful business plan every year. So think about, if your strategy is moving in a particular direction, where are the gaps? What are the challenges there that your manager is facing? And think about what courses and professional development may help you to help them solve their problem. All right. And if you can provide that link between your learning and development with the strategy of the business, that's quite compelling for somebody, okay? Particularly somebody that's caught between a rock and a hard place, is super busy all of the time. So try and make that connection if you can.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Charlotte, please can we have the next question?
You can. We've got a question from a live viewer, Ellie. What are your suggestions for a senior change management professional in terms of continuing education choices?
Okay, great. So panel, can we help Aline out? She's watching us live. Suggestions for senior change management professionals. Mart, we'll come to you. Thank you. And then on to Nick.
It's a great question, actually, and I think I'm referring to what I've experienced myself, and it's about having change managers attending my business relationship management courses. As change management, of course, is all about people management, so to speak. people changes, against calling that. The Business Relationship Management Institute has put forward many tools, techniques to help people with their relationships within the organization and dealing with things like persuasion and conflict management and politics and maturing relationships from order taker to more a partner, strategic partner eventually, how to build trust, things of that nature. So it helps the change managers in expanding in a certain area, in this case, relationship management. So that would be a recommendation I would give to the live viewer.
Marvellous. Thank you. Nick?
Yeah, I would also add, if you've not done already, Aline, and I hope I've got your pronunciation of your name correct, would be to look out to your professional membership. The Change Management Institute although they're based in Australia, they have a worldwide network. You could join that. There are other change management groups as well that you could align with and dip into those, because as a practicing community, you'll be able to, share real life experiences of managing different situations. So I would definitely sign up for that kind of thing. And as Mart has pointed out, much of the continuing professional development really is about refining those skills and getting better and better at stakeholder engagement, at communications, at knowing when to sell an idea and when just to explain it. That's a nuance that really only comes with that experience. So I would say reach out to the community, join together and work in collegion with those other professionals. That will make a big difference for you. And every best wish in doing it, because it's not an easy role to do really, really well. So good luck with that.
Great, thanks, panel. I hope that was useful for our live viewer. Charlotte, please, may we have the next question?
We've got a question from Bill, Liverpool, UK. Certifications can be obtained from many different examination institutes. Is one better than the other, or is there no difference?
Okay, panel. Sarbojit, we'll come to you first on this one. Thank you.
Okay, very good question, Bill. What happens is, I would say, certification, whichever examination institute provides, everyone has their niche, everyone has their specific area of specialization. Now, you will have to find out that what exactly is your objective in your career, what you want to achieve. Now, one more thing to tell you is that you do not get a job because of certification only, wherever you get it from. It is your experience that you have. A certification only attests your proficiency level of your experience, So it's not the other way around, that because you're certified, you will earn experience and you will get a job. So it is not of consequence that which examination institute you go to for the certification. Go for something which is aligned to your career and something where you have experience which can be really endorsed, and then you can build upon it, and not try to see that you get some certification and then something that no one wants or there is no value for it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Nick, I think you wanted to join in on this one as well.
Yeah, so I think there's several things kind of in this. So I'm going to kind of unpick them. I'll say a couple of points first, Ellie, and then, I know that others want to join in as well. First thing that I would say is that this is the same across the education space. There is a degree of equivalence that's available. So if you go and take a degree with, I don't know, a particular, business school like an MBA or something like that, you take it at one business school and you compare it with the same qualification from another, there's a degree of equivalence. So they are on a parity, on a baseline level, the same. And at the same time, I think it's fair to say that certain institutions tend to have a reputation in a particular area. So, one university may be were very well known for STEM subjects. Another one may be really well known for, the arts and so on and so on. And so you'll generally choose, where to study based on that reputation. So whenever you're choosing an exam institute, really think about who says what good looks like, all right, and what's behind that qualification. Who is actually underwriting that qualification and saying that it's based on leading practice, or how it actually works in real life, because that ultimately is going to be the way in which the certification itself grows in popularity around the world.
Thank you, Nick. So thank you, panel, for all of your answers so far. We're just going to change gear now for a moment to our focus topic. So as the year draws to a close, we thought it would be a great opportunity to look back at how far we've come. The Level Up Your Career series has been running as a beta program since mid-August. And I want to spend a little time with Nick Houlton, whose idea it really was, to dig a little deeper into the thinking, what's worked well, and perhaps those things that might need improving next year. So let's begin, Nick, if I may, with the original idea. What prompted you to think of it, and why did you choose this format?
So it was really, it was about this very question that we're trying to address as a panel today. Okay, it was about, that people face challenges in charting a career now, because there's more choice than ever. We generally don't have a single career. We don't go and work for one employer from, leaving school, university, or college, and work for them until retirement. We move around, we change industries, we do different roles and responsibilities. So it was a way really of thinking about how can we help people more dynamically than we have done before, to build a sense of community and to connect people really with experts who want to help. We're in a privileged position in APMG. We get to work with lots of experts around the world, and they really are very, very generous people. So it was a kind of a thought that said, could we try and connect the experts with the people that, really need their counsel, their advice.
Thank you. So in setting up the Level Up concept, it involved the team using new technology and new skills to be able to produce 2 events a week. What have been the major challenges along the way?
There's been so many, really. I think the first thing was, that it was getting used to the idea of a live event, because live production is very different. If you've worked trying to record, your teaching and learning, as a classroom, as a recorded course or something like that, you've got the chance to go back and redo something that didn't quite work out. When it's live, it's very different. Okay, so that whole live production technique has been something that we've needed to embrace. We started on one technology platform. It just didn't have the horsepower behind it, so we had to change that. We've changed the way in which we're interacting with people, on LinkedIn particularly. A very large following on LinkedIn, so that's super important to us, I think, to be able to bring in that immediacy, and we've also really focused on 3 things, I guess, to overcome. Firstly, to have a great network connection. And this is the technology that's involved. So you have to have really strong network connection for this to work. Secondly, we focus a lot on audio, improving so that people can hear us clearly. And the third thing then is that we think about, the video side of it really, and how do people look on screen, and we give lots of coaching and support. So that's kind of how it works. But, the whole team behind each of episode is quite large, and it's spread out around the world.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Level Up is streamed to both YouTube and LinkedIn, as you've just mentioned. What have been the most popular episodes, and what kind of audience response has it been getting?
Well, it's been quite fascinating, really. It began with, kind of a single viewer, and it sort of grew from there, and it's growing very rapidly now, which is good, to see. I think the 2 audiences are quite different so far. What people are most interested in on LinkedIn is a little different to where our following is on YouTube. So the topics do kind of vary from one platform to another, which is perhaps understandable. On YouTube, people can search for things as well, and they arrive at a particular question and an answer, right? So they kind of land there. So it is a little bit different between the two platforms, if you like. The other thing that I would say is that, you know, the size of the following that APMG has, the size of the audience on LinkedIn at the moment is bigger, but we're super focused on building our YouTube presence over the next 12 months. So that's going to be an exciting time, I think.
Yeah, for sure. What has been the most revealing and rewarding moments so far during the series?
I think the most revealing is, if I can be blunt about it, is finding that after 20 more months of lockdowns and hybrid working and working from home and so on, so many people around the world have invested so little time and attention on improving how they appear online. Okay, they really have. So, you know, in the early stages of lockdowns, it was acceptable, you know, to be peering up somebody's nose, you know, on their regular webcam or, you know, whatever it happens to be. But, you know, if we were going to, you know, if you think about it, if we were going to a physical meeting, we would think about, you know, what we were wearing. You know, we'd dress appropriately, we'd dress professionally. And for the most important events or meetings, we might buy some new clothes, you know, a new suit or something, you know, to wear. And how you appear online, I think, is a reflection of your personal brand. You know, it reflects directly on you as an individual. And if people struggle to hear you, or your head disappears suddenly, you know, behind a virtual background, then really, why should people pay any attention? Why, you know, why should they listen to you? I think that we should invest more in thinking about our presence online. You know, it's not expensive. For the less than the cost of a business suit, you can radically improve how you sound and how you appear. The most rewarding moments, I would say, are when people make a connection that really helps them out. You know, from an audience perspective, they get their questions answered and they go on to do other things. And, you know, with the panelists, it's really about seeing them grow in their confidence in the use of this kind of media and, you know, improving their presence online.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the evolution from, you know, working from the dining room table to being in a purpose-built, you know, office is definitely an important one. So the final question, then, the big one, where will Level Up go next?
So the beta program's done, and we've learned a great deal. And we've learned that this format has huge resonance with the audience and huge value. So in January, we're building out a new schedule that will run all of the way through to the end of March, about 3 months out from where we are right now. It's going to build on the findings of the beta program and build out the reach into different audiences in different countries. We're excited to bring some new additional formats, you know, into the mix of events that we run to the series. And we're going to be showcasing the very best in talent from the user community. First of all, I think some of our most interesting panelists have come from the user community, from education providers, from the people who are teaching and consulting and, you know, leading the change in organizations, and from consultants around the world as well. So it's going to be a very exciting time. And I think if you're planning your career and planning and thinking about, you know, what will you do differently next year, then embracing this kind of technology and learning some of these techniques must be high up in your must-do list of things.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. That's really interesting and really insightful. And as I said earlier on, the link, if you are interested in being a panelist on one of next year's show, the link is in the chat. So please go over to Slido and register, and we will be in touch. Okay, so thanks, Nick. Let's move back to the panel now to answer more of your questions. So Charlotte, what is our next question for the panel?
I think we've got a question from Nick. I can be shy in certain situations. What advice would the panel give me to build my confidence?
Okay, great question. So Marc, I think you were first off with that one.
Yeah, thanks. So I've done some wacky stuff to build my confidence. This is something that I've struggled with myself personally. And quite often when I started asking this question, a response would come back as to throw yourself into the situation. And I think that can, for some people, can be the right response, and I think for some people that could be the wrong response. So, for example, if your confidence is lacking, should we say, in public speaking, coming onto a board like this, a panel like this, is a fantastic experience to help build that confidence. If that step is too far, perhaps review one of these sessions that's been recorded, look at the questions and think, how would I answer that? And actually practice out loud saying what you would say in a response to that. And then when you build a little bit more confidence, reach out to yourself, Charlotte or Nick, and say, hey, can I come on the panel, please? So maybe break it down into steps.
Yeah, I think, Mark, that's really good advice. I would say, when we first started doing these shows, some of the speakers were quite nervous, and actually being involved in a panel where you can rely on other members to help support you is quite a nice way to break into that live presenting. Sarbojit, did you wanted to add something to that question?
Yeah, certainly. Now, I would say, Nick, many times we are shy and not very confident about ourselves because we ourselves are not very sure. We may think that, oh, I am not good enough. You may think in your mind that, oh, what people will say and talk about me. So you have to first convince yourself that you are able. You can do things. You are no less than the people around you. So once you start building that and believe in that, then whatever was told earlier, everything is possible. You can start. Well, there is always some initial hiccup that may happen. It happened to me. It may happen to you as well. But do not get, discouraged by that. If your first time public speaking fails or doing something fails, please carry on to do things. You will succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Great advice there from the panel. Charlotte, do we have another question for the panel, please?
Ellie, we've got lots of questions. We've got a question from Martin in Cheshire, UK. I'm currently a business analyst. Would a project management qualification help me in my career?
Okay, panelists, would a project management qualification help a business analyst? Nick, we'll come to you on this one.
So I would say so, most definitely. The way in which BAs work as a bridge, if you like, between the business and the people who are working on the solution is a super important role. So understanding the project management approach that's being embraced in your organization is very important. And different project managers use different methods and techniques and so on. So it might be a challenge to kind of think about which one should I go for. So I'm going to anticipate that a little bit and make a suggestion for you. And that is to look at Praxis Framework. It's a free website, praxisframework.org, I think is the name of it. Maybe a colleague could type that into the chat for people. And the reason why you should go there is that it organizes the different project management methods and tools and techniques into a really easily comprehensive selection so that you can look across it, you can understand the principles that are involved in projects, programs, and indeed in portfolio management. You can look from things like team skills and individual behaviors all of the way through to, advanced issue and risk management. So it's a super useful resource to be able to dip into as a BA, and one that should really augment, your core skills of being able to listen, vision, and then explain, what it is that the business is really needing.
Great, thanks so much for that, Nick. Charlotte, do we have another question for the panel, please?
We've got a question from Andy in Brooklyn, New York. I'm looking to get into cybersecurity and wondering what are the best entry-level certifications I should work towards?
Darren, that sounds exactly like the right question for you to answer. Can we hear from you on that one, please? Oh, I think you might be on mute, Darren.
Sorry. So as it relates to certifications for someone entering, well, first off, I think it depends on what type of job that you like to do. So there's a number of different focus areas in cybersecurity. So you might like looking at the cybersecurity programs and around audit and compliance and things like that. So cybersecurity management systems. You might be more of a person who's more of a researcher, and you might be interested in more pen testing or hacking and ethical hacking, those types of things. Or perhaps if you have more of an engineer mentality, you might be looking at some of the different, consulting and those types of roles. As it relates to the certifications themselves, that might align with what it is that you're interested in from a beginner or entry level. There's a company called CompTIA, and they have a training path that's relatively gets you going. I do feel like you get more miles out of the vendor neutral types of certifications, or they just have longer legs than the vendor specific certifications. If you're interested in audit, ISACA is a good company. Program management, ISC2, and cybersecurity management. And then also from an engineer's perspective, perhaps the SANS organization. They've got some really great hands-on types of training as well. I know that was a lot.
Thank you, Darren. That's really, that's really helpful. I think the team are probably popping a couple of links in the chat for people to follow up on. Sarbojit, I think you were next on this one, and then we'll come to Mark.
Yeah, a lot of things have been discussed already that I was about to talk about. But one thing I would say that cybersecurity is quite wide, and there is one more area which is coming up very fast and growing. That is about cloud security, and it is not different from cybersecurity. It's another offshoot part, and because we are moving more and more towards cloud dependency. So maybe you want to think about something in that area. And then again, as what was said, that there are vendor neutral certification and also vendor certification. Like if you want to go for Microsoft Azure or AWS or GCP, Google, even today, Alibaba, Huawei, and many others, they're also providing trainings for that. And if you're going for a vendor neutral, then there is some called Cloud Security Alliance. They also have some training on cloud. They also have another jointly with Ezaka, which is on cloud audit, and they are coming up with a few more training in the years to come. They also have a lot of work groups where you can also volunteer to learn more about things without being a practitioner or a certified person. You can get in touch and you can visit them, Cloud Security Alliance, and learn more. And maybe you can find one of these as your preferred choice and select one.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mark, did you want to add something to this one?
I'll keep it brief. Indeed, there's a one-day NIST cybersecurity framework training course that I recommend, or a two-day ISO IEC 27001 foundation certification course. Also consider those two.
Great. Thank you so much. I think we probably have time for one more question. Charlotte, can we have that question, please?
You can, Ellie, and I've seen a great question that I think would be good to finish on. It's from Yuki in Melbourne. What is one practical thing I can do to improve my career in 2022?
Okay, great. Thanks for that. Okay, panel, one practical thing that you can do to improve your career in 2022. Sarbojit, we'll come to you first on that one, and then we'll go to Mark.
Yeah, hi, thank you so much. Well, as you know that in 2022, it won't be a lot different from 2021. So the first thing that we have to be more skilled on is remote working and trying to influence people even through this remote environment, because we as human beings, we have been practicing face to face and we have expertise on that. But today, with this new situation, with new things, we have to first be resilient. We have to be learning such skills of influencing people through social media and through other electronic and digital platforms. So I would say the practical thing is to really go out and build up a, um, a digital identity and a platform to showcase yourself. But keep in mind about the security. Do not give out too much. Give only those, and be in such platform which are secured.
Thank you very much. Mark, on to you for this one.
I think the first thing would be to get curious. We know what we know. Our field of vision is as we've experienced it. So talking to other people, doing lots of networking, getting curious about what's going on in your organization, what's going on in your industry can really help. And as we just heard, and I agree with, have a presence. That doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a LinkedIn profile. It may be a presence within your organization at the moment, because that could open up other opportunities for you.
Thank you very much. Mart, we'll bring you in for comments on this one as well, please.
So I'm going to tag on to the great resignation that is going on around the world, so to speak. So I don't think it's going to stop in a few weeks. In other words, it will continue in 2022. And you know, you can ask yourself why. What's the reason behind that? And there's probably a bunch of reasons. So you know, working remotely is probably one of them. But another one I'd like to bring forward is a lot of folks look for a career change also because of they have had some time to think about where they are in their career, and maybe think in terms of, you know, what is my true passion, or you know, what's the purpose that I'm seeking. Maybe try answering those questions for yourself, as far as, you know, what is it that gets you excited to get up every day and go to your job and have fun, and so your job doesn't feel like work anymore, so to speak. So do a little of a soul searching, I would say. You know, what is your passion? What is the purpose you're pursuing? And then translate that into what's my next step in my career.
Thanks, Mark. Great advice. Nick, your feedback on this question, please.
Yeah, I would say that, you know, one practical thing is to make a little plan and, you know, keep that in mind. You know, upgrading your own career is a project. You need to devote some time to it, a little bit of time. You know, each week there are about 50 odd weeks in the year when you'll be working. So you've got a little bit of time, you know, to spread out and spend on that. And that will deliver greater value to, you know, your team and your organization as you do that. You know, as you build on what the other panelists have said, you know, to be curious and go out there and find new ideas and bring them in, you know, to your organization, and think about, you know, what a difference that they might be able to make.
Thank you, Nick. That's really great feedback. So I think we're running low on time now. So I think I'd like to thank everyone for the excellent questions submitted today. And I'm going to invite the panel for their closing remarks. So I'm going to start with Darren, actually. So Darren, your thoughts on today's panel and the questions that have come in from the audience.
So I think it's been really good, and thank you again for including me. I think for folks who are looking to perhaps change careers or grow their careers. Some things that work for me is I spend a lot of time in my local networking communities. So I have a number of certifications. Some of them are associated with that. Others are folks that are just in the career. I go to conferences every year and just go into all the booths and chat with people, find out what they're doing. And then when I'm driving and running, I'm oftentimes listening to cybersecurity podcasts. And I really recommend those. I think it's really very likely that you'll find a podcast on the new career that you're looking for that you'll like as well.
Great, thanks, Darren. Thanks for joining us. Mart, what are your thoughts on today, and any tips for the audience?
I'd say stay connected, and to be quite brief, stay connected with the rest of your peers, your colleagues, the folks in your network, but also stay connected to information, and it's out there. It's right at our fingertips. So be inquisitive and look around for the next blog or post or article or webinar or the next episode of Level Up, so for that matter. In other words, continue to learn, never stop learning.
Yeah, excellent advice. Thank you so much. So Marc, your thoughts on today?
I think for me, just listening to the questions and the answers, a key thing would be to have fun. There's not enough fun in our lives, and we work a lot of the time. So have fun, get curious. I'd say get a mentor, not only network, but actually have a sound advisor to you. And I think picking up a point that Nick just mentioned is there's 50 weeks of the year. Have an action plan, take steps forward as often as possible. You could be 50 steps forward by this time next year.
Yeah, that's excellent advice for sure. Sarbojit, your thoughts on today and advice for the audience, please.
I quite like Mark's thing, that what he mentioned about being curious and also the other things. Well, these are wonderful things. It is important to enjoy things, have fun in whatever you do. As like today, answering things, I had a lot of fun. Even I learned a lot of things as people were sharing and the questions were coming in. So I also learned a lot of things. And a very good thing is to know that the whole year has 52 weeks, not 50. So we have 2 more extra weeks to gain on. So you can be 52 steps ahead than 50. No, I was just joking. Thank you so much, everyone.
Everybody's got to have a holiday though, right? At some point during the year. Okay, thanks so much. So, Nick, your final thoughts on today's episode and any advice that you have for our audience?
Yeah, so I clearly need to work on my mental arithmetic, don't I? Really. So, I guess there's a couple of things. In all seriousness, the power of listening is quite remarkable. So, I'd like to suggest that a key takeaway is to listen more and talk a little less. So that's something that I'm going to try and do personally next year. And to kick that off, then, yeah, as has been mentioned, then podcasts of Level Up are available on a platform near you. It's really worthwhile doing.
Okay, thank you, panel. Thanks for joining us today. It's been great. The feedback for the audience has been wonderful. And of course, Charlotte, our question master, as always, has been excellent. Your thoughts on today, Charlotte, and any last words for the last Level Up episode of 2021?
Just to say thank you for the panel today. It's been fantastic to see you answer the questions that we've received. And as throughout 2021, we've not managed to get through all of the questions, but we will carry them over. A big thank you to all of our panelists through 2021. And thank you to the most important people, and that's our viewers who have submitted the questions. We could not put on a show without those questions so that we can give you the excellent advice that we do. So thank you very much. Thank you to you, Ellie. Thank you to Nick. Thank you to Sujita, and thank you to Nigel.
Thanks very much. Okay, so I'm sure you've been inspired by our panel today. And if you are getting value from the content, please do leave a comment below and help spread the word by liking and sharing the video. Level Up is live. So we're taking a little break for Christmas, and we'll return in the new year with a brand new schedule of events. In the meantime, all of the Level Up shows are available as podcasts, which is the perfect way for you to listen to content while you walk off that turkey dinner. They are available on all usual podcast platforms. Just search for Level Up Your Career. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to the show, and we'll send you a personal summary of what's coming up and how you can join us here on the panel and level up your career with APMG. Thanks, everybody. Have a great Christmas, and we'll see you in the new year.